I'm Ryan Reyes.
I'm Dominic Angel.
And I'm Ricky Macias.
And
Together we are
Un Poquito Podcast. Bow, bow.
Checking the cash.
Rop the rop. I need it now.
Un Poquito.
Explain Latin culture.
Little by little.
No, that was Ricky's turn.
Oh.
We were trying something new and it failed. Anyway, hello.
If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment. Also, if you're on audio, make sure you rate and review. But also, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple and you have something to say, go over to the YouTube and leave a comment, dude. Comments make it sexy. Send us an email at unpoquitopod@gmail.com. Also, if you want to support us on Patreon, links in the description. $2, $15. We appreciate all the support that we get. Also, if you want to be in touch with us and just hang out with us in a virtual world and make friends with other virtual people that are there that are really nice and cool and pleasant to be around and real, definitely real, join us on Discord. It's free to join. Links in the description. We have a show March 19th. When this comes out, it will be next week. It's going to be a live comedy show hosted by myself, Ricky Macias, headlined by everybody's favorite person, Ryan Reyes, featuring past guests Gigi Garcia, Mario Rodriguez. They're heavy hitters. We also got Joel Jimenez. He's a fucking crusher. You might know him from Kill Tony. He was the drummer for the Kill Tony band, a.k.a. Joelberg. It's going to be a real fun show. It's $10 at the door or online. Links in the description. Also, if you can't make it, it's going to be in Altadena, California. If you can't make it, we're going to be live streaming it. You can also get a stream link, right? Tickets to the stream. That almost was perfect. It's all in the same link. $5 to stream, $10 at the door. It's going to be a good time. Come hang out with us. We got the later show. It's going to be at 9 o'clock. We got the later spot so we can hang out, take pictures with everybody. We have merch available. We're going to have shirts and stickers. It's going to be a good time. So come hang out with us.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I've been hanging out with these guys all day, and they've been getting on my nerves.
More like getting on his nerds. So dumb.
Case in point. We decided this morning we're going to talk about nerd shit. Right?
Yeah. So excited.
I wouldn't know what that is.
Not with that shirt. I wouldn't be saying that.
It's purple.
Fucking nerd.
What are you, an Eevee evolution? Got him.
High five.
Nerd shit.
This is just nerd shit. Me and Josh are fucking...
Right? Not the guy obsessed with Minecraft or the dude that's going to be our DM. Totally not nerds. Fucking...
Listen.
Obsessed is a strong word.
It's also accurate.
Dungeons and Dragons has been proven to help solve real world issues. And it's also a lot of fun.
Same with Minecraft.
Really?
No.
I mean, some people used the book system because you could write inside of books in there. They use it to get information to people in China who couldn't access the internet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure the Library of Alexandria is still in Minecraft, too.
That's insane.
Yeah, just check it out.
I just go there and mine and craft.
I just dig holes in the sides of mountains, make a home, and quit.
You ever just fuck around?
And find out.
That's the thing, and I want to tell this very dark story about it. So I was in a gaming group a couple of years ago, and one of our popular games was Minecraft, and there was one person there who just wanted to figure out how to do all the terrible things in the game. She figured out if you dig a hole and fill it with lava, and then a fox sees you throw food in there, the fox will jump in.
Wow.
And so what she did was create a corral, filled it with foxes, and one hole, and she just threw one piece of food in there, and the foxes started following each other.
Wow.
It was creepy.
Did you turn foxes into lemmings?
Was your friend Cruella de Vil?
She's trying to make a fur coat.
I also like to do science in that game.
That's not science,
That's not
Josh.
how you phrased it. That sounded so dark.
It's experimenting.
I also
That's
like
some,
to do science in my
That's
games.
some really World War II science right there.
It's just like what happens if I make animals follow food.
If I throw one piece of food in there, one fox will jump in. What happens if I put 20 foxes? They all do the same thing.
Massacre. It's terrible. I do stuff like I build the Batmobile out of like bricks, and then I put a fire behind it.
My only favorite thing, like bad, like evil thing that I do is beat people up in Grand Theft Auto. I like when they just like you just like beat people up, and then they get up like, jeez, man,
Yeah.
and then they just walk away.
Just like being an actual bully.
Yeah.
That would have been like a funny addition to that. What's that Ryan Reynolds movie that came out last year?
I don't know.
Video game
Who is
dude?
that?
I saw it, but I forgot the name. It's like he's like a video game dude.
Yeah, it's like
Free Guy.
Free Guy. Yeah, that would have just been a funny thing, like to see one of them get like fucked up,
Yeah.
and he just gets up like, now I'm late for work.
It's just kind of like a live action Lego movie.
Yeah,
It's kind of got the same
It was the
vibes.
exact. It was like if Player One was also the Lego movie.
Yeah,
That reminds me of this time. Not to glorify being drunk
being Ryan Reynolds.
or being Ryan Reynolds. Fucking, I would never. I could never. Am I right?
Well, you're not Canadian.
No, but that whole idea of like you know when like you beat somebody up in a video like a NPC and they just like they get like annoyed and then keep walking.
Mm-hmm.
So this one time I got drunk and I was coming home from a party and I went through this phase. I stopped after this, but I was through this phase where like I would after like coming home after like a night out, I would take a bath to like relax.
Really?
Yeah. It was very, it worked, and it worked so well that one time I fell asleep in the tub.
That's
Dangerous, so don't do that. But I woke up and I was just fucking freezing. If I didn't drown myself, I probably would have gotten hypothermia.
Jesus,
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
this was you glorifying.
Well, I just don't want to be like, oh, I was
It's just funny, like people's self-destructive habits out there where they were drunk. I thought mine were bad. I would just get hot pockets and ice cream and destroy my intestines.
That's so good. I love that. That's like the gauge of when you're too drunk.
Yeah.
Like other people do shit like they have cravings or they do weird habits. You make a bubble bath.
He's like self-care time.
Yeah.
You start talking like a widow from like the
I deserve this.
Merlot. But it's like Capri Sun because you've had enough.
But that's not even the end of it. Like, that's what happened. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut ahead. I woke up the next day in bed, and like Anthony came and was like, "Hey, breakfast is already come." It's like, okay, I'll go. And like, so I could feel. I used to have these like pajama pants, and so I could feel like, oh, I'm wearing pajamas, right? Or I could see like my leg that was like, I'm wearing pajamas, and then so I lifted up my left leg to like get out of bed, and there was just like a strong breeze like up my leg, like I wasn't wearing anything, and I was like, what the fuck? But I looked at my right leg and I was like, I'm wearing pants. And then I was like, how does this make sense? So I like lifted the blanket, and what happened was I was wearing my sweater as pants. But here's the thing, I wasn't wearing, however you're visualizing I was wearing my sweater as pants, it was the opposite.
So your front was covered?
No, like
You were wearing it like a kilt.
I put on the sweater through the neck hole up my waist. Like I stepped into the neck hole and like pulled it up, and I managed to get one leg into the sleeve, but the other one was just
Big
like
shirt.
in the shirt part.
It's like, wow, this alcohol is really making me bloated.
But the thing that I remember, like as soon as I did it, as soon as I realized it, I remembered when I woke up to get out of the bath, I was still drunk, and so I was putting on the sweater, and I remember I was squeezing into the neck hole, right? And like as I was squeezing in, it was up my thighs, and I remember like struggling with it and just being like, oh, geez, this is fucking shit again. Like, this is so annoying. Like, I just want to put these on and go to bed. I was like so annoyed. Like, it didn't cross my mind that like, hey, dude, you're not supposed to be putting clothes on this way. You shouldn't be struggling to put a neck hole around your waist.
You're dumb.
Don't drink drugs, kids.
Don't drink drugs.
And so you started beating people up in Grand Theft Auto?
No, it was just like the annoyance, the
being like,
oh, gee, like,
Not again.
not this bullshit again.
I will say I did that. That was my goal when I played Grand Theft Auto Live, was to be a supervillain. I would do like enough missions to buy things, and then I would get like a really nice car and color it a specific color scheme, and then I would pick out an outfit to match that color scheme, and then I would just try to fuck shit up as much as possible. Like one time, there's a limit to it, but I got as many mines as I could get out in a row, and I just laid them on a highway. And I just like sat back and watched stuff.
Just
like
Mario Karting it.
Yeah.
I like to do that. C4, just throw a bunch of C4 out.
And then I
Satchels.
remember, so this was the fun part, was like when you play live, if you start causing attention from the police, it causes everyone else to have attention because like there's more cops presence in that area. So other players get mad when someone starts fucking it up for everyone. So they start putting bounties out on you. So people would start trying to hunt me down, and I would spend the rest of the game evading them and fighting them and shooting rockets at them. It was really
That's
fun.
also just a game mechanic. Like once you do so much crime, the game will just put a bounty on your head.
Yeah.
Without
I'm
I'm
other
telling you
people
guys,
knowing.
Ryan's a fucking menace. And everybody's like, Ryan's fucking cute. We love him.
All good people put mines on the freeway.
It was science.
Damn, I was trying to remember what's the guy, the ones that had the Waco standoff.
Yeah, I know
The
it.
government?
The ATF and
The Bundys?
Anyway, I was trying to say Ryan's a domestic terrorist, but
Jesus.
But this is a main
It's
episode.
just a video game.
were you guys able to play like Josh was saying you grew up very like religious, like your family was religious, so you couldn't play things like Pokemon or like we played Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, I wasn't. I off top didn't really get into those games, but on top of that, like my family was like, those are demons.
that's wild.
Yeah.
I want to know who started this like what like super network do like churches have where like one day your tia comes home from church and she's like the devil is in Pokemon.
I
like,
got you right here. You really want to know? It's from the Bible. If it's not a creature created by God, then it's a creature of evil.
But the thing is like
It would be a specific interpretation.
it would be like this.
It's them saying that these things are like you're idolizing these.
That
would
would
be
be
the argument.
logical. Like that within the
purview.
the purview of the
I
church.
do gotta clarify. Like the church that I grew up in was like a very specific sect of Christianity.
It's like evangelicalism or what?
Yeah, but the ones where like people were like, I touch you and then you pass out.
Oh, Pentecostal.
Pentecostal. They're like casting demons out of people and stuff. So to them, everything that wasn't straight up God worshiping was the devil's work.
Right. But also that's like within that view that within that worldview, that's like a logical thing of like it was if there's animals that weren't created by God, then they're right demonic. But there was like specific like people that would come back from like different churches. Maybe it's just evangelical churches. I don't know. But specifically, they were like, this character has like a special move. Like their special move was like a satanic symbol. And like it was this character specifically. Like also, have you guys ever been slain by the spirit?
No.
No.
All right. Hey everybody, we want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Legacy Teas and Spices, which is a company run by our mom, Angel Mesco, who's here with us today.
Hey guys.
Normally me and Ryan give you the spiel, but today we're going to let my mom tell you about her teas. So why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention we have several medicinal teas, in stock. A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people have New Year's resolutions that they're working on. So we have tea to help. And so I just wanted to mention we have an immune system to help boost your immune system. We have a stress-free tea. We have a good night tea that helps with sleep. We have turmeric ginger that helps with inflammation. We have a detox that's a cleansing tea. We have a digestive aid. We also have a weight management tea. We're all trying to get healthy right now, and with a proper diet and some exercise, these teas can really help you out. We have different sizes, and today we're holding up, this is like a starter size. It's a $12.95, but with your code you get the discount. And this can give you about 12 servings, give or take, depending on how much you use. But this is all artisan, hand blended by myself. And yeah, we have many flavors. Check out our website. Using UP23 at checkout so that we know you came from watching Un Poquito podcast. It gets them 23% off their entire purchase online at legacyteasandspices.com. All right, thanks you guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks you guys.
I think
Trigger warning for people with religious traumas. All right, but I was slain by the spirit one time.
Whoa.
You know what that is, Josh?
No, dude, we're about to get in. This is a YouTube episode.
This is the wrong kind of nerd.
Yeah, this is a nerd. We're supposed to be talking about nerd shit, but I would love to have this conversation.
No, it happened.
I wanted to talk about Star Wars.
I know, but this is. Okay.
Have you ever been slain by a Yeti?
But you know what that is?
He's obviously not backing down off this, dude. Let's go, dude. What's up? What is it? What happened?
Okay, so this one time, right? So here's the thing. For everybody that doesn't know what slaying of the spirit, that's what Josh was called when they touch you on the head and then people fall.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Some pastors have attempted.
Right. Now.
Many have attempted.
I can't be slain.
None have succeeded.
Okay. So when I was like 13 years old,
Okay.
I was like real into like punk. Like I used to dress like I was in Green Day or whatever. Like I wore like checkered shirts. I had a pink tie, spiky hair. And so the church that we went to had like guest speakers. They would always have like these guest pastors come, and they all had like their hook, like what their like specialty was. And this pastor was this dude who was from like Wisconsin, who he looked like Chester Bennington. Is that his name?
I don't know who that is.
You know Lincoln Park?
Lincoln Park. He looked like the dude from Lincoln Park if like he went to like a rich person's party and then spilled chili on his clothes, and then Guy Fieri was at the same party. Let's just say he was at Guy Fieri's house, and then Guy Fieri made him like garbage nachos, and then he spilled the nachos on himself, and then Guy was like, "Don't worry, dude, I got you." And here's some loner clothes. So it's Chester Bennington wearing like Guy Fieri's like flame shirt.
I love the deep lore you went in for that.
No.
I just trying to paint a picture.
So
That's
it's just Guy Fieri,
no,
but
because
skinnier.
no Chester Bennington.
Flame shirt with a
Flame
dragon
shirt.
tattoo.
Didn't he have blonde hair?
Yeah.
Like dyed blonde? Like Guy
Bleach
Fieri?
blonde, platinum
Listen, you're looking too much into this, okay?
blonde. You're the one trying to paint a picture.
Okay.
I'm trying to paint a picture, but don't look at it too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so just imagine.
I get what you're
Just
saying.
imagine Chester Bennington went to Guy Fieri's house and spilled nachos on himself.
Can't you just
Yeah, why can't he just be wearing his
Chester
clothes?
Benningfield wearing Guy Fieri's
There you
clothes.
go. Yes.
Zaboom.
Got it. That's it.
Zaboom bafoo.
Zaboom.
Is it
Okay.
imperative that I know that this guy had regular clothes and then ate nachos and spilled them on?
He was
In
wearing a
what?
bowling
Because
shirt
in
with
what?
flames on it.
Because in what world is Chester Bennington going to be wearing those clothes?
In this world,
Nobody's gonna get it if I just say he's wearing. Why would he be wearing the clothes?
He would
Nobody's
never
gonna
wear those
understand.
clothes.
They don't dress too different,
That's why it's a comparison.
honestly.
Okay. And also, I didn't want you to think that he was wearing clothes that fit him.
Yeah. That's what I said. He's wearing some oversized.
Yeah.
Yeah,
flame-
he went to
silk flame shirt.
Guy Fieri's house.
Just he raided Guy Fieri's closet. Like,
But now I'm just like wondering why he's there.
right? How do they know each
Because
other?
it's a
It
celebrity
was
party.
yeah,
dude.
it's a Hollywood thing.
It's just
How does Guy Fieri get in contact with
because
Linkin
Mike
Park?
Shinoda was friends with Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
Do they meet through Smash Mouth?
Was Steve Aoki there?
Probably, dude. He fucking brought the cakes.
Somebody.
Okay, so this guy's hook was that they used to have church above like where like witches hung out, like a witch bar, and like that's where he held church. And like he's like, we don't care, we'll preach in front of anyone, and we welcome Satanists and witches and
Like
pagans into our
most
church.
Christians.
Right, but it was like he's like, I'm goth, right?
He's like, hey, you know what? I'll have church anywhere, even with those like big bosomed goth witches just above us. I'm not intimidated by that.
It's funny. And I'm also goth.
Chris Evangelical Angel.
So he's doing the thing. He's being like, I'm one of you guys. I get it.
Yeah, so but also part of his things was like he would pray over you, and then his thing was like you don't have to be like part of the church to fulfill God's plan. Like you could be a musician, or you could be an athlete, or you could be
According to them.
right. So like his thing was like he would pray over you, and then he would tell you what your like what God had planned for you. Like how are you going to fulfill God's plan?
Oh,
right?
cool.
So
He had
here's
actual information for people.
right. So here's the thing was like it. I remember he was praying. My dad was like a couple people down. I only did this to like get closer to my dad. Right. I realizing now I was like I'm just trying to connect with my dad in this moment.
Father.
Have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
Papa, can you hear me?
So I went up to get prayed upon, right? And so my dad was in line. He was a few people. I saw him first. My dad is 6'3", 6'4", something like that, right?
Yeah.
This guy was probably 5'9", like my size. So he's praying over my dad, and like he does the power word, amen, or whatever, on my dad. It was interesting because I saw my dad fall. He dropped to his knees and then kind of hopped up. And he hopped up in such a way that was like, the only way I could explain it was like he hopped up like if he was like jumping out of water, like coming up out of water for air.
Got it.
And like his face was just like, obviously it wasn't glowing, but it was like, he was like, felt something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my head, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because my dad believes in all this stuff, right? Like, he's going to go along with this, right?
Right.
So then when it came time to my turn, this guy was like, you know, praying over me or whatever, praying upon me. And like, he was like muttering to himself, like, like searching his Rolodex or whatever. And then he's like, yeah, I'm seeing something. He's like, something with, it's going to have to do with like extreme sports. Like I see extreme sports in, God's telling me something about extreme sports. And I remember thinking, this guy's full of shit. Like, I've never like had any interest in like skateboarding, mountain biking, jet skis, whatever, like no extreme sports. But as soon as he goes like extreme sports, I was like, this guy's full of shit. And then Ryan, put your hand out. So your other hand towards me.
My other arm.
So he goes, he does like as soon as I think this guy's full of shit, right? His hands are like this, and his hands are like barely touching my fingertips like this. And he goes like, he does his power word, and he goes like, amen, and he goes, and then it was like, he doesn't do the sound. He doesn't do the sound. He didn't do the sound, but he goes like, amen, but he goes like this, like goes like
You felt that.
he goes like, amen, and there was like,
You felt the sound.
I felt this sound. It went.
He's like, blue skidoo.
It went from my
can
finger.
too.
The best way to describe it, it was like You ever been like super fucking cold? Like it's like raining or snowing or something. You're super cold and then you drink like some soup and then you feel like the heat travel through your body. That's like the best way to describe it. Was like just like a wave of energy went like,
Fuck yeah, dude.
and then like, and then like drop me down to the ground and I like fell, and then I didn't like you see some people like laying down and like crying and like
That was you?
feeling the Lord. I didn't do that, but I did. I was like, okay, what the fuck was that, dude? And so like I was like laying on the ground, just like waiting for something else. Nothing else happened. But how do you explain that?
You were 13 and you saw your dad do it.
No.
Drugs.
Yeah, maybe.
You were quiet way too long on that.
I don't know.
I understand the things you're saying.
That's how I got into streaming extreme sports on Twitch. He's a video game streamer.
Yeah, I feel like if I believed it,
When you
but
said he was from Wisconsin, I thought the story was going to go like he saw you with your spiked hair and punk shirt, and he was like, oh my God.
this would be a conversation for a different time because the
Look at 7 minutes. We're like
the thing is like that
was the nerdiest thing.
religions were squares.
but like I've done that. I've had that like people pray on me like that before, and that was like the time that I've
Me
felt
too,
it.
man. Me too.
It's sometimes it's
You've
really,
done that?
It's a PREY joke. But yes, I've had somebody, a pastor, be like, time for you to lay down with everyone else. But I just put my foot out back and I did not fall. I was like, and then they tried again, and then they just moved on.
Yeah.
I never experienced that, but I did go to a Green Day concert once. And what's the guy's name? The lead singer?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel Armstrong.
Billy Joel Armstrong did that to two children in the name of rock. And I thought that was the funniest fucking thing in the world.
And that's how
'Cause he
Sum
was
41 was formed.
I baptize you in the name of rock. And then there was just a loud bang, and then the smoke cleared, and those kids were on the floor. And I was like, did he just slap these children to the ground?
In the name of rock.
And then one of those kids sung Till Summer Ends with him. So it was
Wake
fun.
Me Up When September Ends.
That one,
September?
I believe your experience happened to you.
And these are the reasons why science can explain.
I do think that that good old, like, you just believed it was about to happen to you, so it did, kind of a thing. Adrenaline's a thing.
I don't
That
know.
cold feeling, that's adrenaline, buddy.
I did
But
have
but I mean, hey, I'm just a dude that grew up in a church for most of his life.
I'm just a guy asking a girl.
If she believes in the Lord.
I've seen a lot of people experience that. So
I went through something like that one time too, like where they were like doing it to everybody, and you're just like waiting your turn to
an
see
altar
if,
call.
yeah, and like people were like around me were like crying and stuff, and I remember just not. They're like, you gotta let your they knew I was like resistant or like I would like question stuff, and I remember one of them like, you gotta basically let yourself experience this, and I was like, They're like, yeah, they were like pushing my head down to the ground. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna lay down. Like,
I just refused. I
At
was like,
yeah.
my church, we had Jesus bucks.
Jesus bucks.
Every time you were able to quote a scripture, you'd get like a fake $5 bill, and you could use it to buy Slim Jims.
How many Slim Jims did you get?
One Slim Jim was one $5 Jesus buck.
man, they had a racket going on their own.
What's the inflation rate on that?
At the time, I think Slim Jims were like $2.
I think the value of Jesus bucks.
And then we
has
went
gone
to a
down
mega.
lot.
We went to a mega church after that, and like all they did was they'd have sketches, and we'd watch Bible Man.
Fucking
Bible Man,
love
huh?
me some Bible Man.
Bible
dude.
Man is like I believe his origin story was literally like Batman, like Bruce Wayne found religion.
Really?
Yeah, he was like torn from like he was tired of living like his life with. He was a rich man, and he was like he misled his life. He focused on business and didn't focus on the Lord and family, and he had strife in his life. And his parents had died. And one day he's in the rain, and a beam of light comes down and hits some mud, and he pulls it out, and it's a Bible, and then he becomes Bible Man. Now on paper, he's like Batman that found religion, but his like design was like those weird straight to video fantasy movies.
For sure. And that's what it was.
But with a lightsaber.
Hit a lights.
Yeah.
So
and also some of the episodes, I don't know how much you remember of that show.
I remember like 5 they only had
some
they
of
had
them
DVDs.
are ridiculous. They're
bonkers.
crazy.
Wow.
Like cuz they're very, it's a Christian show. So like the bad guys and the things that they're getting rid of are like, and it's from like the early 2000s.
What was his Joker's name? It was something
I
like
don't remember. I just remember going into the Bible bookstore and them playing
The Trickster.
Those,
It was something like that. It was something dumb.
It's just Loki.
That was the thing is like they ranged drastically. Like there'd be an episode about abstinence, and then there'd be episodes about like starting rumors about your friends. Like it would be either something incredibly mild or something like the fuck is going on, like drug use.
Some of the episodes get weird.
I remember
For
like
sure.
the Catholic ones. They just had like, we didn't have Bible Man. We just had like, we just had ones where like this girl got pregnant, and then like it was about like if she was gonna have an abortion or not. She didn't have an abortion. That's
nerd
it.
conversation.
It was just like informal, like
Yeah. It was just a cartoon about abortion,
yeah.
not having it.
So yeah, no, I never played Pokemon.
any card game.
No, not really. Uno.
I remember this is not to bring it back to this conversation, but we went to Harvest Festival. Did you guys ever go to Harvest Festival?
I never went to Harvest Festival.
So I won't go in. We'll
I know
have,
all about it.
Okay, so went to Harvest Festival with my dad through the church, and it was just really funny because he made us turn off Yu-Gi-Oh off the TV because he's like, "We're at Harvest Festival. You can't turn that on. That's the devil."
Speaking of strange religions, paladins,
Jedis.
Paladins.
paladin.
When does like stuff become like nerd stuff? Because there's so much, like we were talking about in the Osco episode about like Dragon Ball Z, which I feel like there's certain shows or like certain things like Mexicans, black people love anime, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is it a nerd thing?
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think because nerd stuff is always a subculture, right? At least this is how I felt. Like you felt like you didn't fit in with your main culture as much because you were a nerd.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I used to feel back then. Now I don't think that's quite a feeling. I see younger people just like, no, they're just nerds. It's not even a big deal.
Well, I don't think that's so. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into this, have the distinction between a nerd and a geek.
yeah.
I just got a huge lecture on it from a couple of my friends the other day.
Well, from
Nerds
what
and
I
geeks?
understand,
Geek
because for the
specifically.
longest time, people were associating with geek, but not nerd, because nerd meant like someone who doesn't have fun, someone who like their fun is being knowledgeable and learning, and that's why they're nerds. Because nerd, I think, came first, and then geek was like someone who was into fan culture to an obsessive extent. Because from what I can tell, and we can probably verify this with some research later on, the original term of geek referred to a circus act
Facts.
of someone who was like malnourished, didn't come out of the sun a lot, essentially like a hermit person that would like eat chickens in front of people.
Hikikomori, yeah.
So
I think it was like a carny. like
yeah,
what
it was
a
it was a freak show act.
Also, like drug-addled was.
Yeah. Usually the
into it.
story is that they were like tricked into the work by like becoming like gaining a codependency on drugs.
On Mountain
So
Dew.
how that translates is like there would be geeks who would become so obsessive with their culture, their fandom, that they never went outside, that they'd be up late at night, especially when the internet became a thing. Like these guys were always inside. They were malnourished because all they ate was like cheese puffs and Mountain Dew. And so they resembled like the freak show geek. And I believe that's where that comes from.
Makes sense. And I think that's true.
And so, like, as it evolved, that became a thing. Is like, even though that's where it started, it became a thing of like that was the distinction. I like fun. I just like a very specific kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. And I think that geek, that carny, also, like you said, was like a sideshow act. Like he had a specific interest.
Yeah.
He'd be like focusing on swallowing flaming swords all day.
I thought
Yeah.
geeks were
Special interest nerd.
academic and nerds were.
A geek
That's
is somebody who's focused on something. Is like like hobby based or
I
something.
think the confusion of that becomes from stuff like the Geek Squad, like at Best Buy.
yeah,
but-
nerd.
I do remember growing up, like there used to be arguments over the distinction because nerds were supposed to be the ones that were academically inclined.
Yeah, I think that just started to change. Like we just use nerd too much for everything,
Yeah.
and then that definitions got messed up.
I will
Yeah,
say
for
one of my favorite things to call someone as an insult, like as a joke, but like a joke insult, is calling someone a nerd ass.
This episode gets banned for bullying.
Copy.
It's just
There
the
you go.
most
There you go.
fun.
Copy strike.
I do think a little bit we are all kind of nerds in this room.
Not me, nerd ass.
I think I can be a pretty good gauge of what is and isn't nerdy.
I mean, I think it just depends on. I think something becomes nerdy or geeky if you continue to be into it past like 15.
I feel like
Okay.
I think there's like an age limit on certain stuff because like in high school, well, first of all, like in middle school, I used to just love to read. Like me and my friends would steal books from the school
Same.
library.
Gary Paulson fan right here.
Is that why you didn't think you were a nerd because you stole the books?
Yeah, that's how we kept it cool.
That's even nerdier to me. Reading?
You're breaking the library and you're stealing like
You
Steinbeck.
love
Hey.
reading so much.
If books weren't dangerous, then the government wouldn't ban them.
Oh.
Ooh.
That doesn't make them not nerdy.
Listen, guy, I'm trying everything I can. Okay. So in middle school, we used to, because the thing is like I'm not good at video games. Like I have bad eyesight. I only like certain type of games. I always feel like I make the wrong decisions, but I'm not like I'm not a super gamer. And I was never really into comic books. Frustrate me. I can't do comic books because I don't like not having everything in order. And also, I don't like doing like what's the where you could read all the comic books online.
Pirating?
There's like a subscription. You could get a subscription and you can like read any comic book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like Crunchyroll but for comic books.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't like
You
that
don't know
either.
what it's called?
I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry.
There's
Somebody
several
leave a
different
comment.
apps.
Okay.
But like I did like things like Pokemon in elementary school, and then I also liked Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I grew out of that. But then high school, my friends were playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I was like, actually, this is a fun game.
Grew back into it.
Yeah, and the thing is that looking back, if I was to be honest with who I was like, this guy's a fucking dork. But at the time, I was like I was a popular kid. I was like smart, handsome, like self-righteous for sure. I was like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt kind of guy. I feel like.
Yeah, you said dork.
A handsome dork.
But like I knew a lot of people. I wouldn't say that I was a popular kid, but I was like I was like a middle person, right? Like I was friends with the popular people, but I was also friends with like the fucking degenerate people. Yeah. I was like the rocker fool that like cholos used to say what's up to. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
I feel you.
Yeah. So then we started playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right? What?
No, why don't you finish your story? But I looked up the differences.
Okay, so I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I was a marching band. First of all, that was a cool thing when I was in high school, being a marching band, okay?
That's what they all say.
I feel like band geeks think that because they were all like dating each
Yeah,
other.
when you go
Yeah.
to,
Hey,
Baggies?
pancakes.
I don't know when you went to school, but I don't know a period of time where being in band was cool.
Listen, you had to be there.
Look, there was like a blip. There's a blip in time where drumline was cool, but that's it.
Hey,
And that was a
Nick Cannon?
specific
Nick
kind
Cannon.
of drum line.
you know,
A very specific
I will
kind
say,
of
like,
drum
I've never met, after that movie for a long time, I did not meet another, like, drumline member that didn't try to do this.
For
After
sure.
that, everybody just started doing that for everything.
Yeah.
after that movie came out, everybody in drumline would just march like this. That's what Nick Cannon would do for no reason. That was like a character choice that he would just like stick his lips out like that.
Kissy, kissy, goo, goo.
Anyway, listen. you know, I'm Team Cannon. Okay, he did wonders for the drumline community. Anyway, I don't know what else. I don't know what he's been up to after that. But one time, so my friend Eddie had this like metal tin, right? Of like, he had like, he had enough for like 6 decks of cards. I don't know how many cards are in a deck. But he had like this fat like
a regular like a
it was
Pokemon
like this
card.
big. It was a Yu-Gi-Oh special like collector's edition tin that had the dark magician on it.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so it was filled. It was filled with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then so he brought it to me because whenever we would play, I would like borrow his cards. So he was like, "Here, take this." Just fucking like build your deck and then give me the cards back. So then I had it for like 2 weeks and I never built the deck. And then we were hanging out in the band room. I was at my locker, and he was like, "Hey, dude, let me get that fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Let me get my cards back." So I was like, "All right." And I took his thing out of the locker, and I meant to pretend to throw it at him, like, "Oh, here," like as you do as a teenager.
Man.
I was like, "Imagine." And then as soon as I was like, imagine, it fucking came to fruition. It was so heavy. Like the whole, all of the cars probably weighed like 8 pounds. So like I like went like this and it went, and like fucking flew across the room and hit this fool in the chest.
Oh, man.
And it just went like.
Magical cylinders that.
Cars are everywhere, and all of the color guard was like looking at us like we're fucking nerds, and I was
Lightning
just like,
bolt.
If the color guard's looking at you like you're nerds,
That's bad.
yeah,
that's bad. And you were cool.
yeah, I was cool. I was crawling around on the floor like he activated my trap card.
Man, that's crazy.
I've heard.
That person probably remembers you as that guy who threw that thing.
I mean, we were
through the Yu-Gi-Oh
we were
grenade.
best friends in high school, so.
Oh. Well, I had a friend in high school. One time, one of my friends was holding like a stack of ones, and this dude just came up and just went. He slapped all the money out of his hands, and it just went everywhere. And like we were still friends with that guy after that, but that's how we're like the dude that slapped all the money out of your hand. Like that's just how we knew that guy.
Yeah, I love reducing someone's mean, bullying, joking move into like their whole experience.
I told you guys when we went to the museum, there was a kid in elementary school that we called Flavors.
Yeah.
Why is he called Flavor?
Because we were in flag football, right? And in flag football, they took us on a field trip to go to a college game to see the Bruins versus the Trojans. And so we were all in like 6th grade. And when we showed up to like the Coliseum, all of the vendors, all the snack vendors are on the outside, right? And there's like, you know, popcorn, cotton candy, drinks, stuff like that. And then there was this one cart that was just Minute Maid frozen lemonade. Like all on the cart said frozen lemonade. The umbrella said frozen lemonade. On top of like the cart was like cups of like frozen lemonade. And this kid's name was Michael. And he walks up to the cart and he goes, "What flavors do you have?" And the guy just was just like, "We have frozen lemonade." And the rest of us were like, "What a fucking idiot." "Hey, what flavors? Hey, Michael, what flavors do you have?" So from then on, for the rest of the year, that fool was named Flavors.
My buddy, we knew this. So my buddy, he goes to this event, right? And this, you know, they weren't that young. I wasn't a part of it, but he's telling us a story how they're all drinking, they're all kind of talking shit, and one of the friends is drunk and takes everything a little too serious, and like punches him in the chest one time, and then like never like apologized or anything. And it's just like us, and like kind of tried to blame my friend. So from then on, we just started calling him One Punch Man. It's like, I think it's kind of funny. Like,
I think it's funny that we started talking about people who are nerds.
Also, calling that dude Flavors was really funny because he was taller than all of us. Like he was like a big dude, like really tall. But we were all like, "Haha, fucking dork."
So I looked up the differences between nerd, dork, and geek. A nerd is someone who is passionate about learning, being smart, or academia. A geek is someone who's passionate about some particular area or subject, often obscure or difficult. A dork is someone who has difficulty with common social expectations and interactions. Fuck? I have autism.
So if you're 2 or more of those, then you're autistic?
I think you have to be all 3.
Wait, what's the third?
Geek, nerd, and dork.
Oh, shoot.
Because it's social interaction, hyper-focus.
Yeah, we really butchered those definitions, haven't we?
Earlier, when
Like
we were going to eat breakfast, we asked Josh if he wanted to get, like, eggs. And he was like, no, I don't like eggs. And Ryan goes, I told you he was autistic.
We're going to call it Josh Textures from now on.
But Ryan was more into, like, quote-unquote nerd stuff, growing like comics, Marvel. What are you doing?
Gang signs. I ain't a nerd no more.
I will say, this is probably the nerdiest thing that happened to me in high school. I almost got detention because for a yearbook photo at the prom, I went like this, and she's like, you can't be throwing gang signs. And I was like, are you fucking serious?
Did you give her the Vulcan pinch?
Just lean into it.
I'm not nerdy enough to get that joke.
I don't know. I was pretty nerdy. Like, I didn't realize. Because, like, I was always, like, I was nerdy, but I was always afraid, like, I was appropriating nerd culture by taking on that title.
Everyone else was just like, no, you're fine.
He's like,
you're good.
I like nerdy stuff, but I was having sex. Hello.
I just didn't think I was that. Like, I knew I was, but I was like, I don't. Because, like, everyone liked all this other stuff, and I was, like, stuck on a few things.
That's so funny. That's
Also
like the one community no one would ever expect you to be worried you're appropriating.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous, but that's how I felt. And, like, but I remember I should have known. Like, I liked Pokemon before it blew up. Like I remember being in
It's a
fourth.
nerdy thing to say.
Yeah,
This nerd ass.
this nerd ass. Like, I remember watching it in the morning when it was on UPN before it got moved to WB. And I would watch it, and I would almost miss the bus because I liked it so much. And
Yeah, that was kind of fucked up that they would start the cartoon so late, right as the bus was supposed to come.
yeah, I was like, that's a good episode. Like, gotta run. And then it went to WB, and I would, like, carry trading cards at school, and kids would make fun of me. And then it became popular, and one of the cool kids traded cards with me. Like, he'd never made fun of me about Pokemon before.
Damn, that guy's
He was
real
your,
cool. He's a real Chad.
He's a real Chad.
I was gonna say he was a real Benny Rodriguez.
Yeah. It's true. 4th grade, man. Rough time.
My first grade year, I played chicken with the teacher because
That feels bit.
Just riding in a Humvee, like.
I want to explain because this is kind of a fun story. I mean, it's not, but it is. So that year, I started to, like, get bored with academia. Like, I would ask to go to the bathroom a lot, and then I would just fucking wander the school. So after a while, they're like, you're not allowed to go to the bathroom except at recess and lunchtime. And so one day is a rainy day.
Oh, no.
And so we don't have recess, and we, like, go to the lunchroom, get our food, and come back to class. So, there's not a lot of walking time, and at that time I couldn't get the teacher's attention to actually go to the bathroom. And here's also part of it was for recess, we played Heads Up 7-Up, which means the lights were coming on and off. She couldn't see me a lot of the time. And so I'd be yelling out, like, teacher, can I go to the bathroom? And she's like, you have to raise your hand. And I'm like, it's dark. But when she realized I was the one asking, she's like, no, you're not. And so she's like, you're just going to go around and wander in the rain. And I was like, man, I mean, I was gonna, but I also had to be. And it became this thing where, like, she refused to let me. So I kind of, like, I learned something today. I learned something today. I learned
Ryan
that,
commits to the bit.
1, I'm very good at committing to the bit. 2, with just a little bit of effort, you can get McDonald's and new pants in one day.
Teachers hate this trick.
I didn't think Ryan could turn a story about peeing his pants into a flex.
Oh, it's Pete.
Oh yeah,
Well, that's cool.
Those
That's
are-
easy. That's light work.
If
You made it
yeah.
sound like you shit at
Oh
yourself.
yeah, because
What's that line? If peeing in your pants is cool, then I'm Miles Davis.
Because there's always kids peeing their pants.
It's funny because they also play the trumpet.
There's always a kid or two peeing their pants throughout the year. But it was always impressive when someone pooped themselves. You're like, wow.
Jesus, Ryan.
Everybody's like, peeing yourself. We get it. Pooping yourself? Something's going on.
Okay, I know I stirred us into a religious talk, but
Y'all need Jesus.
If peeing yourself gets McDonald's, what does pooping yourself get? Round table.
you just move.
You just, yeah. We never saw William again.
I think it's interesting how, like, I don't know, because I feel like certain things are, like, categorized as, like, white people stuff. I don't know if that's, like, a real thing. Is it just nerdy stuff, or is it white people stuff?
I would say nerdy.
I think nerdy stuff used to be just viewed as white
Well,
people stuff. Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Is like people don't think of, or they used to not think of like minorities as being nerdy.
Yeah.
Like you didn't think of like Star Wars fans being black, or like black people being into Star Wars, black people being into anime, Mexican people being into anime, Mexican people being into D&D.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of why so many like Latino kids, like you were saying, didn't realize they were fucking nerds.
Yeah.
It's because it was like, well, that's a white guy thing, I guess.
Liking that stuff isn't white people stuff, but the people that like that stuff act white. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see the association as well, like real Carlton energy.
Yeah, because it's
Carlton was
like
black.
huh?
Yeah, but he acts. The joke of his character is that he acts like a white guy.
Have you seen his sweaters?
Some fucking sweaters.
It's not
I mean,
unusual to be fans of D&D.
Fuck up, Ryan.
But like that's kind of why I said it's like the subculture thing, where like nerds are always like a subculture. What no matter the main culture they're a part of, they're
Right.
like a deviation from their own culture because by their nature of their interest, they don't spend a lot of time in the other things they could be doing.
Right.
They hyper focus on their hobbies. And sometimes it's to avoid things, but sometimes it's because they just really like that shit.
Also, not to take it back to white supremacy,
Yeah.
but I do feel like in those circles, like even like nerd circles, for a time, I don't think it's like that so much. Not to say it's not prevalent, but like for a time, it was like even though you like nerd stuff, like you're not seen as like you're still seen as like, oh, you're the black nerd or you're the Mexican nerd. Like you're not like in the nerd community that it was still like white people and they were like, oh, we don't relate to you because you're a black person.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is like two parts to that are like I think are worth talking about. One of them is like I do think if you were in a group that was into the same thing, if you were like the black kid, the black nerd, the Mexican nerd, like you said, like you were seen as a kid that acts white because you were into communities that were predominantly white. And the subvert of that, or not subvert, but another part of that evolved as nerd culture began to become popular. I want to say it started when like convention culture became mainstream, was like because it had been like that for so long, people were actually trying to exclude minorities from nerd culture.
Oh, for sure. It still goes on.
It's today, I believe it's still a prominent thing, and I can't reference any creators right now, but if I remember them, I'll try to add them to the description. But I know people that are cosplayers that used to be like Stormtrooper cosplayers, and there's whole groups of Stormtroopers that like sort of unionize as cosplaying groups specifically to like push out black people. Like it's they believe only white people can be Stormtroopers.
Which
and
is
that
crazy
exists-
because the clones are Maori.
Yeah. Which
But
is
also,
like technically later canon.
how funny is it that you're like, hey, only Stormtroopers, very Nazi name, can be white, all right?
Yeah, only Stormtroopers could be the very unathletic Nazis that can't aim for shit.
It's like, we're really on the nose about this one. It's weird. Yeah, like I've seen that a lot. Like, because like, not even just in nerd circles and race stuff, but it's like being a woman
Yeah.
is like also like going to game nights at like some of these stores that are pretty cool at times, but like minority groups and or women like deal with that all the time. It's gotten way better. I know it's gotten way better, but it's still a thing.
the acknowledgement has become more like well known, but I feel like it's still very prevalent, like especially in the subcultures of nerd culture, like cosplaying, like content creating, like people that make comic books and like anime mangas, but they're about brown people, about black people, are seen like are criticized a lot heavier
for sure
than not. Or even like
that's the whole idea of like, why are they forcing it down our throats? Like you hear that like
no, they're not. They're just trying to create something
like
they enjoy.
the only thing we all agreed that was forced down our throat was that new Velma show. We all agree.
I mean, I did watch the first episode, and I can see what people are saying. Like, it felt like something that wasn't originally supposed to be Scooby-Doo, but they wanted to. But it felt like they needed a hook to get people to watch.
Yeah, yeah. But that's rude. That's messed up because it's like that makes that stuff look bad, and it's because these creators were lazy.
Yeah,
and it's not. Yeah.
And I don't think there was any issue about like I don't think they were necessarily shoved equality down people's throats. A lot of people did misread that. Like they introduced a new character, and I forget her name, but they were like, "This is supposed to be the new Scooby," and it's like, no, it's not. It's just a new character.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think this is more of just an example of a show that dropped the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's something to say about people's expectations when you're dealing with IP that they're used to for their whole lives.
I mean, I will agree to that to a certain extent because for a long time, like I remember when like they introduced the new Hulk and he was Asian and people were flipping their shit, like why is he Asian? Like why there was a shift like of like 5 or 6 years ago where it was like they made a like their main superheroes were like either different sexes or different genders, different races. And like people were flipping out on that, and I was always like, for me, I mean, I kind of still see that because for comic books, for comic books, like there's new universes like constantly being created. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, well, in this universe he's Asian. Like, why does that matter? Because in a few years they're just going to come out with another thing, and it's going to be different. Like, that's how comic books work. But having said that, I will say Ryan and I were watching The Legend of Vox Machina, the second season, and like every couple minutes something would happen, and I was like, "That's not how it happened in the game." I kept going. Canon. Yeah, I kept going. I kept saying like, I get how fucking nerds feel when they trip out over source material.
Remake ever.
Yeah, because I was like, that's not how it's supposed to happen.
I do like it's because you go into something like that with expectations. You're like, I know about this. I like this thing. It's the thing I like. And then you get there, and then it's not the thing that you liked. Right. And so you're like...
Yeah. I do, specifically to that era of, like, evolving characters, I do believe that there's something that fandom in general, as a culture, can practice of, like, subverting expectation. Because they always, like, they see the surface-level image of something, or they see what they perceive to be the idea, and they react to that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like vigorous, sometimes it's violent, sometimes it's like extremely volatile and like racist, and it's over something that they just misunderstood. Like that era of Marvel, it wasn't like DC's New 52. It wasn't a new universe. It wasn't replacing characters in the sense of like the old characters don't exist anymore. It was evolving their stories, because in the current canon of all of those stories, those characters were aging and changing. Like, New Hulk came after Bruce Banner's storyline had him, like, dead. He comes back later, but in the meantime, there's no Hulk. And in the meantime, someone takes up the mantle, and he just happens to be Asian.
It's weird that the Hulk has a mantle, though. Of all characters.
I mean, but the thing is like, he does have other characters that created their own storylines that added to his, but like A-Bomb, Abomination, Red Hulk, Red She-Hulk, She-Hulk. Like, there was characters nobody else gave a shit about. It was just the one that was like...
That's also true, yeah.
Or like with Blade, everyone was like, oh, Blade's a like 14-year-old girl. And I was like, it's his niece. Like, he's gone missing in his storyline. His niece took up the mantle until she could find him. That's the extension of that story. You know, nobody was replacing these characters. They were just moving the story forward until they found a way to bring them back.
Yeah, if you guys really had an issue with this, maybe you should argue that she's a nepotism baby.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. I will, to push back a little bit, because I do agree. I do see now when make changes to source material, but I will say that what I had issue with it was story points, like plot points of like that's not how it happened in the game.
Right.
But like for instance, like Matt Mercer he voices all of the NPCs in the game, but in an animated show, like they're getting like a diverse cast of voice actors to like Cheech Marin is in the show, and we were
very briefly.
And it was annoying.
It was so
Spoiler alert: Cheech Marin has a cameo in Legend of Vox Machina, and it's fun, but also pissed me the fuck
reason
off.
that it upset us is because one thing that we've acknowledged about this show, because Dominic was into it because of D&D, I was into it because I'm a fan of voice acting, and it was an entire party of voice actors. And so in the new show, they get, they're in that community, so they get a lot of like big names. And so I had looked up the cast and saw that Cheech Marin was going to be in it. And so the entire show, we're waiting to hear this fucking bear talk. And it was like, what lines are they gonna give this fucking bear as Cheech Marin? And it's this scene, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't finished the season, but I'm gonna continue, where they're hallucinating on some kind of like
essentially they're tripping on mushrooms.
Yeah. And the bear turns and he's essentially just like, hey, how's it going? He has like 2 lines, and I think she says something, I didn't expect you to sound like that. Me neither. And it was just like such a disappointing, like, that could have been anyone. It didn't need to be Cheech Marin.
It was funny because Cheech Marin's, Cheech and Chong.
It's a weed joke.
It was fun. It was funny.
I got it.
I'm not
but
trying
it is expectation versus reality. It was a little disappointing.
It was also for me because it's like to go back to the source material shit in the original campaign. Like there's an arc where Trinket, that's the name of the bear, Trinket, like it gains the ability to like speak to Vexalia. And so I was thinking that was going to be the moment where like they have this like really like deep heart to heart with the bear. And so I was like, why would they get Cheech to like be this like for this serious moment? And then as soon as I saw them tripping on acid, I was like, oh, okay, this is where the fuck Cheech is.
If this is torture,
chain me to the wall.
But that's also like, I can understand that, like subverting from the source material can be frustrating when you've come to love this like aspect of detail of the experience, and then that's literally the part they took out. I can understand that, and I can even like to an extent agree with that. But that's why I was explaining that era of Marvel is like that's not what was happening, but they still got mad at it as if it was.
Because I got frustrated with like that new Hobbit series movie.
Right.
Like they definitely just like stretched it out and added stuff that took away to me like confused the story.
In my opinion, I feel like they were backtracking because I didn't know this because I was young enough that I saw the movies first. I didn't even know there was a book until like years later. I didn't know The Hobbit was the original franchise. Like in the books, that was the thing that came out first. That's the thing everyone fell in love with, and then they made Lord of the Rings to tell you what happens afterward.
Right.
And so I feel like in the movies, because it's the reverse, because so many fans knew the Lord of the Rings first, I feel like they were worried that The Hobbit would be disappointing, so they added stuff to it.
Well, the thing are you talking about the Rings of Power, or what's the name of the show?
Hobbit,
the Hobbit movie.
Oh, the movie.
Series.
Oh, I only saw the first one.
See?
But I feel like, not to be a fucking nerd, but like
It's a little late.
Tolkien loved lore. Like his books were just like dense as fuck with like lore.
Yeah.
So I went on a rant. I've talked about this before. I just went on a rant. Like Bilbo Baggins was rich as fuck before he started this adventure. He's a nepo baby. He
had his own home already.
Yeah, he was a landowner. Samwise Gamgee was like he worked the land. He was Frodo's servant. Anyway.
You relate deep to Samwise?
No, I've never watched it. So
anyway,
what are you talking about?
I think that's part of stretching it out. But they also changed it. I think nerds' issue with the Hobbit series was that they changed the ending to like not mean anything, to just be like a fluke.
It's funny that you put that off on nerds, but it's like what you think.
No, I mean like that's
like the problem. The thing
fans
nerds have a problem with.
Fans of the book had issue with the movie because they changed so much of why the ending was significant.
I think what's most frustrating about that is it forces you to still be a nerd. Like, they're making the things you like cool now for everyone, but they're taking all of the stuff you liked out of it. So now you have to be like, yeah, but that's not how it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
that's also why I told Josh early, like I don't know if it was when we were talking last week, but I was just like, the thing that infuriates me so much is like playing D&D with somebody that doesn't take it seriously, because you're forcing me to defend playing make-believe. Or just sitting there in a robe with Alfears, like, if you're not going to take this seriously, we should just fucking go home.
Can you pull all these dice away from me?
You call your mom. Have her pick you up.
I don't know. I mean, there's so much in, obviously, like, in different forms of media entertainment that I think, like, I feel for the nerds that feel like all of this stuff is popular now and they have lost part of their identity. But I feel like we can break down a lot of like archetypes, or of like who's it, like Joe Manganiello. That guy, is that his name? Manganiello?
Flash Thompson from
whatever. He's buff as shit.
Google it.
He plays D&D. He's married to Sofia Vergara.
A lot of people know him as the werewolf dude from True Blood.
Yeah.
He was in a Pee Wee Herman movie.
But I just mean, like,
I think it's Manganiello.
my point is that, like, we can like everything. Like, it's okay
for sure.
to like different things.
I'm surprised they haven't gotten him to like be in the show.
I can kind of, just real quick, I can kind of see the the changing stuff from both sides of like them changing source material, especially when it's like a lot of the I don't know, I might cut this out. A lot of the race stuff, like when they change someone's race, like it feels like it doesn't affect the story at all,
Right.
and that it's purely marketing to get those dollars, those ticket sales from that race. And so when it feels like that, it doesn't feel genuine. This isn't a story about an Asian guy. It's just they just made the Hulk Asian so that they can get Asian people to go watch it.
Okay, but my pushing against that point is, like, Ryan will probably tell you that, like, they have created characters of various races. Like, they've created original characters that don't get any attention.
Yeah, way back
I
when.
totally
the
understand.
Super Friends and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Right?
Any random superhero that they make and they're like, this person exists, most people are going to be like,
yeah,
that's for nerds.
So what they do is, like,
I understand. I'm just saying that's what it could seem like, and that's a reason for somebody, like you even mentioned earlier, that like when people, like, the thing that they hold on to with their identity or something that when it gets changed, that frustrates them.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that's the main character being white.
Well, I mean, that's another thing, because it's also like, it's this weird thing of in any subculture where when that becomes the group that accepts you, it's hard for you to like work back from that when things are starting to change to be more racially accepting. Like, I've run into a lot of comic book nerds that when I talk to them, it was like, yeah, for me, I went through an experience where I realized that all of my favorite comic book superheroes that I grew up with, that I idolized, that were my favorites, were white dudes. And I never thought about how I was relating more to these artificial white characters than I was the brown characters being written around them.
And to kind of piggyback on that, like, when I was in high school, I was like trying to be a writer, and I was like, after I graduated, I was like trying to work in film, and all of the scripts, it took me a while to realize too, all the scripts that we're writing, like, the characters that I had in mind were mimicking the stuff that I watched. And so, like, my characters are all white, like, you know. And so I think, like, it is important to kind of see that. And there's two sides of responsibility to it. Obviously, it's like us, like, as brown people, need to explore, like, stuff that's being made by brown people featuring brown people, featuring non-white, you know, non-just straight white dudes. for sure. Like we could seek that out because there are people making those things for us. FUBU, right? For us bias.
I thought you were just meant FUBU in general.
No,
Like, we should all be supporting FUBU.
Sort of
But at the same time,
You guys wear FUBU?
It's irrelevant.
at the same time, you see stuff where like, but think about it historically, like what we've seen in stuff, like for instance, Marvel, right? At first, their like big step in getting progress. Well, the first step was actually creating these other side characters, but they weren't ever given any attention. They weren't ever given any like real kind of marketing. And then what we saw is that, okay, well, let's just make the Hulk Asian. Let's make Iron Man black. Like, let's make Spider-Man black. And then that creates a big uproar, right? But now what we're seeing is like Shang-Chi wouldn't have happened before they made the Hulk Asian. Like, I mean, I know it did exist, but the amount of marketing, the amount of like actual like funding and marketing that they put behind Shang-Chi as like a tentpole film wouldn't have happened before that. Yeah,
it's a thing of like it's an evolving process, and it's unfortunate. It's extremely frustrating because there is this start to it that has to be like corporate, where it's like they have to see the value in gaining that commercial demographic before they're even willing to try it. But then once they do, like that evolves, and then it becomes more something. Like Miles Morales was a cop out. It was them trying something like that. In my opinion, and from what I remember, there was a huge backlash about it. Like people didn't like that character. They thought he was too whiny. They didn't want to go through like seeing a young Peter Parker-esque character again. But then, then it finally started reaching the crowd that it was meant for, and it was very much accepted and evolved. And there's still moments where they're like, they don't like how he's always being handled or written because it feels like he's not being written by the people he's meant for. But in general, he's well accepted. Like he's become a consistent part of the fandom now. And to the point, they made him the lead of a movie.
And he's a canon character, right?
He's a canon character.
Yeah.
So,
that was when that became.
He's from the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah,
so it's technically
when that became like information that was out there. I feel like that's when I stopped seeing pushback about it. Everyone was like, oh.
I believe he's included in the Peter Parker universe as a whole, but I don't believe he's in the 626 or the 616 universe. Right. He's adjacent to that. He's like 626.
But okay, question
represent.
Was Spider-Gwen before Miles Morales?
Spider-Gwen was after, because I believe before Spider-Gwen, if I remember correctly, there was Gwenpool.
Quickly, I heard that too. Sorry.
So
it was after Miles Morales?
It was Gwen Stacy was Deadpool. Okay. And then, so I think it was Gwenpool and Miles Morales. And then when Miles Morales wasn't doing well, but people liked Gwen Stacy more, they tried Spider-Gwen.
Okay, thanks for answering
We're too far in the nerdiness for me. I don't know anything about what you're talking about. I've never even heard Spider-Gwen until this sentence.
I don't know why. That made me think of Undercover Brother. White people overload.
That's funny.
But I did like Miles Morales. I did like the Spider-Verse. I also like how they threw in John Mulaney as a spider pig.
That was
like,
hey,
you know how far we could take this?
I'm one of those people who was like,
not
again with the Spider-Man. How many Spider-Mans am I going to see?
Sure.
Spider-Man Overload.
I mean, that's also part of the storyline. It's kind of a gimmick. I would say, because we've been talking about how these subcultures are still evolving and learning. One culture that I feel like needs to chill the fuck out is gamers.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how they react to like minorities and how they react to women playing, and it's still fucking egregious. Like, I'll be on like a cheesy game like Fortnite and I'll hear like 12-year-olds spouting the N-word. Mm-hmm. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, because it's like, not to excuse all of this, but I think to explain some of it, because this stuff has been going on for a while. Steve Bannon is actually connected to some of this cultural gamer influence, because they started trying to influence gamers because they viewed a lot of gamers are young white guys that are frustrated. So they actually did Gamergate. There's like a lot to talk about here that I'm glossing over. They did Gamergate. They did the anti-feminism stuff in the gaming community. So all this like vitriol is still like, I'm not excusing it, but there's echoes of this manipulation and this frustration and this anger.
There is like a socio-psychological component to it that I do think is like being researched, but it's also like, to add on to that, groups get started on this stuff. Like Red Dead Redemption has a huge like faux clan population. Like it's white dudes just like acting out fantasies by going after minority characters.
Yeah.
And it's bonkers. The only reason I found out about it is because there's this one Latino dude who spends like all day, every day, just dismantling these groups.
It's just a vigilante on.
Yeah, 100%. It's like really fun to watch.
He's Zoro. That would be sick in Red Dead. That's crazy. I mean, I feel like part of it on like game, because it's like obviously like it's a step above like straight up like just social media, like bullies.
Yeah.
Right. Where they don't have to see you. But I think there's like an added element where there's like this like pleasure in like hearing somebody over the mic, like saying like racist, sexist shit and not being able to do anything about it. Like, so now you get to like hear that person be upset.
Because, I mean, I think like they get to, because that's how they feel. Like, I mean, it's not so elementary to like view it that way, but it's like that's how they feel, and they want to make you feel that way, that like you can't do anything. And it's like, because like Call of Duty lobbies are horrific. Like anytime I would play that game with friends, I would just mute all communications with other people.
Yeah, it's weird. There's this sort of like almost nihilistic component to it of like, having interacted with trolls before on not only gaming but like on TikTok, on Instagram, I don't believe that they genuinely emotionally get something out of this. Like there's such a feeling of like they don't actually care about anything they're doing or saying. They're doing it because they're bored, but it doesn't satisfy anything in them, so they just keep doing it. It's like
better than nothing.
Like emotional junk food. Like
yeah, I remember I've seen somebody talk about this before. There's a musician called Boy Jr. That posts like covers of songs online.
Right.
Or not, it's not covers, it's like fake songs. It's like if it's covers, but it's like if the Strokes sang like Black Betty, like.
Right, I get it.
Anyway, doesn't matter. This has happened to me. What they were explaining is just like people just saying the worst thing about you, and then you like are like, yo, what the fuck, dude? Like, why? Like, what's your problem, essentially? And they're responding like, what did you expect? Like, you're on the internet.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is just how things are. Like, I've had people in my comments. I got into like a long like hours of. I was like, I got time right now, dude. Like, I'll fucking sit here, which is also kind of loser shit. But I was just like, fuck it, like, because at that point I was just fed up with like this idea of like, why do they get to like, do this shit, and I just have to like be the better person and ignore it. I was like, no, like they have to, like, I'm like, fuck this shit, like, whatever. But anyway, in that conversation with this person, they straight up just said like, welcome to the internet, like,
nerd.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why do you think it's okay to just do this stuff? Like
because they get away with it. Like,
that's why I want to talk about like gaming trolls specifically, like YouTube, Reddit, Twitch trolls. For some reason, it's like it's an acknowledged part of what they consider to be their culture. Like literally, there's this dude that a friend of mine follows, who his gimmick is that he, apart from being a gamer, will track down and call scam numbers,
yeah.
Awesome.
and he'll just essentially online troll them over the phone until they hang up on him. And it's, you know, part of the draw-in is that he's like giving them their comeuppance, and these aren't good people. They're scamming elderly people and people that don't know any better out of thousands of dollars. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to care about those people. They are being shitty I mean the scammers, not the elderly. You care about the elderly, but you don't. I get it, and it's like I'm not defending these people. They're shitty people, but he'll say volatile things. He'll say like the N-word. He'll use accents that are very like racist. He'll say the F slur. He'll like just do all this volatile shit, and then when they get mad at him and they're like, "You're a racist piece of shit," and they hang up on him, he's like, "Why is this guy even getting mad? It's just gamer talk." Like that's how he phrases it. Wow. As if like that's just how people talk on the internet, and it's like.
But that's usually a joke that people say to like a code word for pretending to be like.
We're doing this ironically.
A gamer moment is like being
removing
racist.
accountability.
Like, the joke is like you're actually a racist. We call it a gamer moment, but you're being racist. Like,
exactly. Yeah. It's like that's why this specific subculture of like geek, nerd, whatever is like so weird to me because it's like I don't know where it started from, but it was like even just enjoying video games in general. I've never met someone who's super into video games that actually enjoys like playing it in the moment. But they swear it's like how they get out their aggression. It's like, yeah, but I feel like it's also what's fueling your aggression.
Depending on the game, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like League of Legends players, my lord.
My lord.
I'm not saying stop playing video games, but I'm saying like maybe try solitaire or something for a little bit. Like take a break, dog.
The thing I could understand getting out your aggression, but it's like, okay, what like punch a bag, there's no excuse for just like saying racist, homophobic, misogynistic shit. Like, and even if you do, like, even if you're that person that gets intense and like yells stuff, like, and that's how you get out your aggression, it's like you still don't have to like say the N-word. Like,
I don't think that's where that comes from, though. I think that comes from a losery place of like having no control in your own actual world and getting bullied at school. And then you come to this place where you're good at a game because this is what you do with your time, and then you're like nerd fucking to somebody else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It started off. I do genuinely believe that it started off as like a subculture of like acceptance and like something that was meant to. It was something they were good at, and that's why they were fun. Like I remember being into like Halo. I remember being into Call of Duty, but it's evolved in a way that like allows them to not acknowledge that they're being toxic, not just to other people, but to themselves. Deep down, like that they know that they're wrong because they absolutely go out of the way not to be like that outside of gaming.
For sure.
Not only that, they have to justify it. Like this is just how it is here. Like this is how it works.
Like I've literally, I had a friend who had like a 12-year-old brother that would play, and when he thought no one was home, he'd absolutely like F-slur, N-word all day, and then like he'd hear the floor creak or think his mom was home, and you'd see him go like to check that she's not home. Uh-huh. And then as soon as he realized he was alone, right back to it. And it was like insane to me. I remember one time she overheard him because he didn't know she was home. And she was like, "What the fuck did you just say?" And he was like, I gotta go. And he turned everything off. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can actually, I've played with random people online, like kids that were saying crazy shit that got in trouble while they were playing. Yeah. And had to be like, I gotta go, like that whole thing. But what I was gonna say is the reason I don't think it's limited to games, I think this is kind of one of those, like, you've seen the like videos of dogs barking at each other from behind a closed gate, and then the gate opens and then they stop.
Right.
I think this is one of those things because of like, did you guys ever get on? I know you probably didn't, but did you guys ever get on the party line?
Yeah, once or twice.
Did you ever hear fools banging on each other on the party line?
For $6 a minute, they're like, "Where are you from?
Where are you from? Let's pull up. Yeah. So I think this is just one of those kind of things.
Is that like, where the term netbangers comes from?
No, that's
keyboard warriors.
Keyboard warriors. Yeah. I mean, netbanger is like
same thing, same guy,
same vibe.
Correlated.
That comes from. I mean, I don't know. The first time I heard that was like there used to be these old like rooms where people, like, you know, those rooms where you could like draw and it's like live drawing with other people live drawing at the same time.
Right.
Taggers would go into those rooms and they would like
they would rep their set and then people would bang on each other. Yeah. They were crossing them out.
Just imagine like someone put the time in to do like a really nice, and then someone just draws a little penis at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Straight cross it out, straight erase it while you're in the middle of working on it.
Going back to what we were talking about, like in the machismo episode, it's like I understand as I get older. I'm starting to understand like competitiveness and like male nature, right?
Yeah, dog.
And I do understand it. Like, I do see it. I do understand it of like, because even like talking about like indigenous to the Mesoamerica like tribes and stuff and like practices, like there's a lot of like patriarchal tribe. Like, it's not every one tribe is the same. Some of them have matriarchal leaders and some of them are patriarchal and stuff like that. So like it varies, but I'm not trying to get into genetics and stuff or like a weird conversation right now, but I just mean like there is stuff that is human nature that is testosterone driven. It's like, for instance, like to kind of like as it there's like documentation of like trans men when they start taking testosterone, they find it harder for them to cry. There's like, I can't cry anymore. Like, you know, they have like their emotions kind of the way that they express their emotions changes. Yeah. So that is a very real thing, I think. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I understand that, and like the kind of need to like have competition and push each other's buttons, kind of a thing, flex on each other.
Yeah,
I think,
and I honestly think that kind of stuff comes from like a like animalistic, like our herd needs to get better.
I think
so. You got to be better than the next guy next to you, and we're.
Right, I mean, there's an argument to be made for it that I could see, right. I'm just saying, like, there's plenty of arguments that can be made about like the like, what's the word? The survival, the evolutionary like benefit to it. But to that point, it's like we were talking about earlier off mic. Where I was saying like we've come this far where we understand a lot of like evolution, and as a society, I think we can recognize when things are toxic or things are like not good, and they may have served a purpose hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. Right. But in a current, and the thing is too is that it's not like those things are going to leave our bodies. Like it's still a human.
It's like
an instinct, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's an instinct, but we can also recognize like, okay, that's going to be there, but like there's healthy ways to
like
there's healthy ways to get that
punch
out.
People.
Yeah, I mean that's part
unless
of like,
you're in Grand Theft Auto.
That's part of like I don't think it's an issue of like where it's coming from. I think it's an issue of like how it's evolving and being addressed. Like, because these are people that are starting out like at 12 and 13 years old, and even like our generations, like playing at younger ages, developing these habits and then never letting them be addressed. Like they play by themselves, they don't let anyone in the rooms, they don't interact with anyone like this outside of the game. And then what's happening is these people are becoming adults. And the thing is like, as much as they hide it as children because they know that it's bad behavior, as adults, they're less inclined because now they feel like they're in a position to do things how they do them. Like, there's like hundreds of stories of people that develop this mentality and this like way of expressing frustration at taking it out on the people around them. Like, you know, a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of like people acting.
We're getting into a place that I don't really like this conversation because you agree with the people that think the guys that play Doom, like it was because of Doom that they shut the school up.
I don't think it's because of Doom that people are aggressive. I don't think it's because of video games. I think it's the way they interact with each other and the way they develop coping mechanisms when frustrated that is affecting them outside of video games.
I don't
think it's the video game. I think it's the culture around the players.
I can get behind that.
I agree with that because if you don't have enough support and no one's even listening to you and no one's helping you process all these feelings, and then now you're just in this echo chamber where you reinforce this vitriol and negativity. It doesn't matter that it's video games. It can be anywhere. It could literally be like...
Yeah, like incel culture is an identical thing, and it has nothing to do with video games.
Like, there's even been dojos or, like, martial arts. Like, martial arts could be a hugely positive way to express this stuff. But even martial artists, like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people, they know, like, some dojos, toxic. It's all about, like, manipulation and control.
I understand what you're saying.
It's about dominance.
It's about dominance, not about, like, bettering yourself.
It's like Cobra Kai.
Yeah, it's like Cobra Kai.
And it needs to be like Rex's dojo.
Rex Kwando.
Rex Kwando. You think he feels like less of the man because he goes to Starla every night?
You know, it's a good game to process your emotions and to release your inner turmoil.
What
Minecraft,
game is
am I
that?
right?
Dungeons and Dragons, dog.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam. Minecraft. Speaking of which, we're going to be doing a special Dungeons and Dragons campaign for patrons, Patreon only, for the $15 tier. It's going to be extra content on top of our main episodes, on top of our Patreon episodes. Josh the American is going to be a player character, so you're going to get to see him role play, pal around with us.
See his face.
You might see his face. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be the DM. These fools are going to be playing. And we're going to see how long they stay alive. If you want to name their characters, you can join us on Patreon, where we're going to have a vote to name their characters. And you'll be able to follow along at the $15 tier.
We're still like building our backgrounds and everything, but do you guys want to give them a little like sneak peek of like what class you picked, what race you picked?
Are we revealing that?
Yeah, if you guys want.
Or should we wait till the patrons choose our names?
That's what I'm saying. Like we can tell them what we're building so they can start getting ideas.
So I'm willing to say. I'll say what I have,
And that's incentive to join the Patreon.
Some of it is flexible, but the classes I'm already pretty much decided on my class.
Do you have your race in your class?
Yes.
What is it?
Tentatively, the race is Goblin, but I am a Bard.
Goblin Bard. That's an interesting. I've not heard.
I'm liking it already.
I've not heard
I
of
will
anyone playing a
say-
Goblin Bard.
I'm not going to make you do it or spoil anything because you have to watch Patreon to find out, but I love the voice that you gave him. It was like a tester voice, but we immediately fell in love with it, and
Yeah.
like it's already building its own lore. What about you, Josh? What are you repping?
I think I'm going to be a human artificer.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think
There's a
that's
variant of the human that I'm gonna pitch to you.
He's basically
I love-
the Rugrats.
Josh
dad.
is still learning, so I love that it sounded like he was reading a postcard, like
Yeah, it was in my head.
artificer.
I had to remember to say that word.
I'm excited for mine because I'm going to be a rock gnome barbarian. It's gonna be super sweet, super adorable.
Just like Ryan. Gnome barbarians are a lot of fun. Just get some clubs and fucking go ham at people's shins,
Yeah.
breaking legs,
imagine,
busting
like-
kneecaps.
The entire vibe I'm going for is that one scene in Star Wars Clone Wars when Yoda drops his cane and just like goes fucking batshit crazy.
I just imagine Ryan's gonna be like one of those like little wrestlers in Nacho Libre. Just like
That's exactly the vibe.
I thought of a small version of the monster from Galaxy Quest.
I don't
There's
remember.
so many references. It's gonna be small. It's gonna be aggressive, and it's gonna be awesome. And it might. I'm not promising
Terrifying.
anything. It might talk like Mickey Mouse, but it might not. If you made it this far, what's something you think is part of nerd culture that you enjoy?
And from us at Un Poquito,
Don't fly.
Fly.
Wingardium Leviosa.